Hi, this is Nicole Roberts-Jones, and welcome to Amplify Your Brilliance. What I know for sure is that one of life's greatest gifts will meet you when you go after your more. And so here is where I share with you thought-provoking insight and behind-the-curtain conversations with women who have reached the pinnacle of success because they went after their more. And I really want you to get this. One idea from these episodes can make a remarkable difference, not just in your business, your career, but in your life. Also, make sure you join the conversation in our Facebook group. Go to thebrilliancetribe.com. Now grab your pen as we begin today's session of Amplify Your Brilliance. Hello and welcome to this episode. So today I'm excited to introduce to some and welcome for others, Miss Trisch Smith. Now, Trisch is the Global Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer at Edelman, a top global communications agency. Now, in this capacity, Trisch works to drive diversity and foster inclusion to ensure development of innovative solutions that resonate with Edelman clients' audiences in order to achieve business success. Now, she's managed communications, stakeholder outreach, reputation management campaigns for a host of clients, ranging from Fortune 500 companies and nonprofits to associations and colleges, to just name a few of the organizations she kind of work with, right? She also has sat on boards. Now, she currently sits on the board of directors of ColorCom, Women of Color and Communications, and the board of advocates of the Women's National Basketball Players Association. Dang, that's a mouthful. Now, in 2019, she was listed as one of the 100 most influential Blacks in corporate America by Savoy magazine. And I could go on and on. She's done so many things. Please welcome Miss Trisch Smith. Hey, girl.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm good. It's exciting to be with you today. I know we've been trying to make this happen for a while. So
right.
I am so glad that we've gotten this opportunity today.
Yeah, me too. I'm so excited. So tell us a little bit about what has standing in your truth, and I'll go straight in, right? What has standing in your truth done to your ability to grow your career?
Wow, you did just go there, right? I thought we were going to get a couple softballs before we got to the nitty-gritty. But nonetheless, I think that, standing in my truth, we all have those points and times in our lives where we have to do that. I think standing in my own truth has allowed me to really broaden my horizons to pursue different things. And let me dig deeper into that. I think that oftentimes when we don't stand in our own truths, we're bound by what people define is our box, right? We let other people define and create boundaries for us. And, they tell you can't do this, or you're unable to do that, or you can't do this and that. And so standing in my truth and really doing some self-work, right? Self-analysis of what drives me, what makes me happy, has allowed me to pursue different passions. Oftentimes we, again, are put in a box and people say you can only do this. And so standing in my truth has allowed me to not only pursue my career goals and really seek opportunities in the D&I space, because I'm a D&I practitioner, but I'm a communications expert at heart, right? I've been at a global agency for much of my career and always on the client side and helping clients really reach diverse stakeholders. But it was because of my desire to want to see more people like me in the industry that I then moved into and expanded my horizons into the D&I space. But in addition to that, I also am an ordained minister. And so it's interesting because people say, how can you do this and that? And I think that standing your truth means being all that you're created to be.
Yes. And
pursuing each and every passion and gift that has been placed within you. And so for me, that it was something that I struggle with. Even going into D&I space was something that I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I want to stay on the comm side. So everything that I'm currently doing now is a result or output of standing in my truth and embracing that truth.
Now, listen, she just dropped so many bombs. I don't know if you guys caught them all. So let me just say a few that I caught, right? Because she just threw out she was an ordained minister, like everybody does that, right? And not only that, but you've climbed the corporate ladder. So let's talk about this for a minute, because listen, we know that oftentimes there are so many layers to who we are. I always like to say we're like diamonds. There's not one little area. If you turn a diamond around, it might bling in this section, then you turn it around, it blings in the next section. dimension that's called cut, the good cuts of a diamond. You don't want it to be cloudy. You want it to be clear and blingy. That's the way I say it, because blingy is not a word. But anyway, so I love that you said you did not allow yourself to be bound by what other people defined as your box. So tell us a little bit about, as a woman, a Black woman in corporate, rising to a certain level, and then on top of that, being in a faith-based world, and depending on the denomination you in, and I'm going there, women being ordained is not okay. It's not even authorized, right? So talk to us about those two boxes. You can start with either one or blend them together. And just, if you think about it for a minute, and I'm saying this because here's what I know about every woman that I interview, because once we reach the place, we forget what we went through to get there. So just remembering the fight that you had to go through. Well, tell us a little bit about that.
It's interesting because people often want to know, and oftentimes younger professionals that I mentor, or just even colleagues inside the agency or within the industry at large, want to know, like, how did you do it? And there really is no blueprint, right. As you all know. There's no one particular roadmap that you can point someone to, because everyone's journey is so different. What I have learned throughout my professional career is that you have to define for yourself your negotiables and non-negotiables, what you're willing to do, what you're unwilling to do, really being clear about what it is that you want. And you don't always know it each step of the journey, but it's taking those steps and assessing as you travel along. Also, I've really had to embrace, and I think many of us experience this fear of failure. I've had to embrace failure, right? And actually lean into it, because you actually learn more from the failures than you do the successes, based upon what I've seen, right? You right. learn what to do or what not to do, how to navigate it, how to bounce back, more than consecutive wins after wins after wins. While we all want to win, those losses teach you for the next phase. They help prepare you for the next level.
And before, because I know you get ready to go into another conversation before you leave this, right? What I see so many women do is they don't know how to embrace failure. I think it was Stephen Furtick once say that fear is not the enemy of faith, it's familiarity, right? That's it. And so it's the times that you make the biggest mistakes. Girl, I can tell you all the biggest mistakes, but I can also tell you all the biggest lessons, from dating all the way to business, right? So how did you say yes in the face of failure? What was that you had to conjure up inside yourself to not give up in your career?
Well, because I got tired of it, quite candidly, of fear paralyzing me, right? Of fear overtaking me and overwhelming me. And if we don't use those as growth moments and opportunities, it will trap you and diminish your vision.
Ooh, yes.
Right? You'll stay stuck in that. And so, you mentioned what Stephen Furtick shared. I believe that I'm innately adverse to change. I know that about myself. I am comfortable in the familiar. I know that. I get something, I learn it, I got it, let's go with it. I know a place, I know the players, I'm comfortable there.
Right.
But if you don't change, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're what? You're not living.
Yeah.
And you can't grow without change. You can't learn from something without failing in it.
Yeah.
At some point. And so for me, it was, I got tired of fear holding me hostage. And really keeping me bound and preventing me from moving forward in what I knew was destined for me. So that's how I did it. It's not easy.
Right.
It's easier said than done. But you've got to be willing to lean into that and embrace it, and give yourself grace in it.
As you were talking, another quote just came up in my mind. I was on a mastermind call years ago, and Ayanna Van Zant was a teacher on that call. And she said, if you don't feel like you need to pee on yourself sometimes, you're not playing big enough, right? You're not. And that's that fear piece, because when it's really, really scary, and you guys that are listening to me, the ones that will admit it, listen, I was on that call. I said, thank you, Ayanna, because I always feel like I need some Depends. I don't tell people that I need to have on a pair of Depends, but I always, and that's because I'm willing to risk it all to gain it all.
That's right.
I might not know what the heck I'm doing, right? And why do men do this easily and women don't? They'll say
society.
Right.
We could stay on for the rest of the day, right? Because there are systems, right? Systemic barriers and infrastructural issues that exist that prevent us from operating as they do, right?
Yeah.
And so we've seen the data, right? Men will apply for a job when they don't even think they have half the qualifications, but we have to have 101% before we'll feel comfortable even pursuing it.
Right.
But you're right. That quote is great. I'm going to remember that. And, I think a similar one is the quote about, if your dreams don't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough.
Yes.
And so I think that's truly it. We've got to embrace failure and recognize the power that exists in it. And then it's what we do from and with that lesson.
So if you could think of a time, speaking of this conversation, in your career when you knew it was time for more, like you knew that you had outgrown where you already were, what did you do to move past your comfort zone in that moment? If you can give us a specific example, you don't have to give people's names or, exact details, but just, if you could give us a little insight to share with our audience, maybe that defining moment when you knew you had to do it.
Yeah, so there are two quick stories I would tell. One is while working with a major client, one of the world's largest of their kind, it required me actually moving to where they're based. So several hours away from my home in the DMV area outside of DC. And it was living there, coming home 2 weekends a month, very rural area, working inside their organization, still with my agency, but we were going to be working offsite. And I literally would cry every weekend I came home for the first couple of months because it was more than a decade ago in my career. So I was probably mid to sort of moving up, like trying to make that leap up the corporate ladder. So mid-level. And I really was unsure about being away and being a place where I knew no one, so far away from home, but also just the intensity of the project and the assignment. Yeah. And I knew within my gut at some point, like I needed it. And it hurt and it was hard. We worked like 13, 14 plus 15 hour days. And it was intense. It was difficult. It was hard personally and professionally, being away from everything that I knew and loved, but I knew I needed it somewhere within me. And so for me, I just had to suck it up. And I will tell you today that it was one of my greatest career experiences. I learned the most in that year that I probably have in my combined number of years in the industry. And so when you say, where has there been that moment, right, where I knew I had to sort of take a leap. Yeah. That was one. I had to leave the comfort of everything that I knew to go to a place that was unknown to me, to work on something that was extremely challenging and difficult. And I grew the most from it. And so today, that is one of my greatest professional successes. Right. Not only was it personally rewarding, the client has advanced tremendously through the work that we did.
We're going to stop here and take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back for more. Have you heard the news? For the first time ever, I'm hosting a free 6-week online business school called the Brilliance School. Now listen, in the course of this 6 weeks, I'm walking you through the blueprint I've used to grow my own business into multiple six figures. Plus, I've used to coach other women to do the same. So if you're looking to start or grow your business, you don't want to miss this, as I'm giving you everything you need to bankroll your brilliance. Learn more and join us at thebrillianceschool.com. You know, what I see so many women do, and I call it seed, time, and harvest. Now, I got that from the Bible. I didn't make that up. Okay. So, but I shifted. It's seed is a word, time is a word, and then harvest, right? Because most people put seed together in time, right? So what happens that I see so many women do this, and as you were talking, that came in my mind, but then I started thinking of pregnancy, right? You can't decide in the middle of pregnancy, you can. That's called abortion, right? You could decide, I don't want this baby, but you have to kill it to not want it. Right? I want you guys to get this in your mind. I'm not condemning anybody who's had to have an abortion. Maybe you got raped. I'm not condemning anybody. I'm not sitting in any judgment. But what happens when you don't sit in seed, time, and then harvest is you get in a career because you really want to affect change on some kind of level and or climb the corporate ladder at the same time. If you don't put the time in, you don't ever get to the harvest. And for you in that moment, that was the time. Did it feel good? But it was for your good. And so even through pregnant, now I've not had a baby, so understand, take this with a grain of salt, y'all, because I ain't had to push nothing out. I haven't had labor, none of that. But it comes to a time where it gets really, really hard. And you cannot decide in that moment to say, I don't want it. I just want to leave it in there. I don't want this baby. It's too much. I'm gonna just leave it in. You can't do that. Mm-hmm. But so many people flee from jobs because they don't want to do the hard thing.
Absolutely. It gets too hard. And we don't want to do it. And I think your point about seed time and harvest is so key, because there's a season, right, for everything. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes seed time can be discouraging because you don't see anything. It's under the ground, right? Yes. So you don't see the roots that are growing, what's manifesting under the surface. Mm-hmm. But if we hold out and continue to sort of toil the ground, right? And continue to monitor what's growing and see to that, it will produce a harvest. So it is, and it's challenging. It can be discouraging, especially if you are focusing on other people's harvest instead of your own.
Ooh, come on.
You can see other stuff growing around you, or other people looking as if, anyway, by appearance sake, that they're being blessed, or that their harvest is producing something beyond what you have. But if we stay focused on what we're growing, we can be faithful to that. So,
and I love that you said, we can look at other people, because, and maybe you guys haven't, so I'll talk about me. Well, I look at other people like, God, if I could only get to that, how come she got there and I didn't get there? Right. Mm-hmm. But we're focused. Our harvest is not anybody else's harvest. God didn't use a cookie cutter. So where I'm supposed to get is not where Trisha's going to get. It's not where Felicia or Tracy, or I'm making them names. Right. So I want you guys to get, my harvest is not your harvest. Your gift is not my gift. So the destination that we all are meant to get to is different. So therefore, and you said this at the beginning, there's no blueprint that I can say, ooh, Trish, show me what you did. Now, of course, success leaves clues, so I can learn some things from Trish's journey, but my journey won't look exactly like yours. Even if I went to D&I, even if I said, ooh, I want to go in communications, it still won't look the same. That's so good. That's so good. Right.
And we could stay on this analogy of seed time and harvest, which I love forever. I think the other key point is that, it also requires, to reap a harvest, you also have to sow a relevant seed, the appropriate seed, right? If I want to grow X, that means I need to plant a certain seed. Yep. So many times we're planting stuff that has nothing to do with what we're trying to produce.
Come on.
And so whether that's we're wasting time in other areas, or we're not putting in the necessary seed to produce what we say we want, we've got to be very clear about what we're planning to produce that harvest as well.
Right. Okay. And then this is the last analogy I'm going to do. I don't know if you're going to do another one, but going on to the seed time and harvest, even with that, sometimes things have to be pruned, right? Yeah. So sometimes you might look in your crop and realize, number one, that there's a weed present. And I call weeds negative chatter. When you second guess yourself, when you think, oh, well, look at hers and you're not focusing on yours, when you are playing imposter syndrome, like, I can't do this, all the things that will keep you from living into the gift that God created you to be. One. The second is pruning. Sometimes you got to cut a little back. Like maybe you went too far out, and you have to recalibrate. Or maybe sometimes you might get snatched from a role at work, not to leave the job, but to learn a lesson. Like you said it earlier, failure. So sometimes I think a failure is a little pruning, and God is saying, okay, girl, sit down. You're doing too much. Let's refocus and recalibrate. Let's figure this out. It's not an opportunity to quit. It's an opportunity to learn and grow.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
So your second example, because this is getting good. Look, I'm writing notes. I don't know about if y'all are writing notes, but I'm writing notes.
But no, and I mentioned this briefly before. It was the making the leap into the D&I space. Again, I was doing fine at our agency. I was an executive vice president leading major accounts across a host of industries and sectors. And I decided that I wanted to take on the role as our first head of D&I for our agency. And so that for me, again, I'm not a D&I HR person, right? That sort of grew up in the discipline or studied the discipline. I am a communications consultant and strategist who has learned D&I, right? Or who's developed a passion for it. And so for me, it was, which I think has worked very well, in that I understand the agency, I understand our industry, and I understand the dynamics of it, both the challenges and the opportunities. And so it's proved well, but that was a shift. Yeah. And it was a shift I had to plan around, right? To pray about, to decide, was it the right move? But that too has been something that's been an amazing growth opportunity and opportunity to drive real change and to make a meaningful impact in an industry that so desperately needs more diversity at the table. And so that's been another example of, again, where I've had to sort of take some leaps.
And as I'm listening to your whole journey, you have totally drawn outside the box. You know, I keep thinking of you said define you in the box, but I'm thinking of coloring outside the lines, right? So because literally someone that worked in communications who thinks I'm going to jump all into another sector because it's such a huge learning curve. But at the same time, you bring a whole different perspective that has probably grown D&I in a way that nobody had thought of before because of your communications background.
And that's exactly how it sort of came about too, Nicole, to be quite honest. I was doing so much work with different clients who were saying, help us communicate our D&I strategy to our stakeholders, whether it's our employees or external audiences, consumers, grassroots leaders. And in that process, I began to ask questions. Well, what's your D&I strategy? What are you doing? And from that, it was, we have to have something to talk about, right? We can't just talk. And so in that, the work we did evolved to helping them actually develop the D&I strategy. And then it gave us something to discuss within the context of their D&I communications efforts. So it was born out of our client work where we decided we needed to do more as a firm for ourselves. And so that's sort of how it grew. But you're right, redefining, drawing a new box, right? Blowing up the box, as you said, coloring outside the box, whatever analogy you want to use is take the limits off.
Yes.
And really, we were created to be and to do so much more than what our minds can conceive. And we're only limited by that or the limits we allow others to put on us.
Yeah.
And so that for me, and it's a continued journey. I'm not going to make any qualms about or make any sort of try to position as the fact that it's not easy or a challenge. It's a day-to-day process, but my heart's desire is that when I leave here, I will be empty.
Yes. Oh, that's
that
good.
Everything that I'm supposed to have done and deposit here, the impact I'm supposed to make while here is complete.
So funny. Often when I'm speaking, I say, look, I don't want to get to the pearly gates. And God's like, you can't come in because you're not done.
You didn't do everything, right?
You didn't do it. So going back. No, Lord, I don't want to go back. I don't want that to be what happens because I'm not done. I love that you said that. I want to be fully done and complete.
Empty. I think it was Miles Monroe. We've been quoting some greats here today that said something like the richest place ever is like the gravesite, right? Because so many people left this earth with stuff inside of them.
I heard it. I heard somebody say 5%, like 95% of people die, and it could be Miles Monroe too. I don't know where I heard this. 95% of people die having only used 5% of their gifts and talents. 5%.
That's incredible. Yeah, I've not heard that. Is incredible. Yeah, so that's it. I'm like, I gotta, whatever it is that's in me, it's gotta get out. Now, how I prioritize and how I manage all of that is still a work in progress.
Right. Because some days it's good and some days, I don't know about you, but some days I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Some days I'm like, yes.
Some days it's really bad. I'm like, particularly in the current state of the world, I'm like, I told someone the other day, I think I'm on like day, I don't know, April 54th. Like, I don't even know what day it is anymore. What month, what day. And so it's particularly difficult in the current state of our world and the nation to stay focused and try to stay on task, if you will, and moving forward. But we'll get through it.
Yeah, we will. So as we wrap, because believe it or not, it's gone that fast. If you had to give women 3 steps to blow up their box, right? If you had to give women 3 things that they have to do, what would they be?
You asked a good question. One is know yourself. Right? Know yourself, learn more about yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, what you like, what you don't like, what you find enjoyable. It's amazing to me how many of us don't know who we are.
Right.
And when we don't know who we are, that means we will wander aimlessly or we'll let others dictate who we are. So learn yourself, learn more about yourself, Find a mentor and or sister circle, something, some group that helps you to, one, stay honest and hold you accountable to what you say you're desiring to do and to be. Two, that can help you, right, as you navigate your journey, and perhaps can even help you in getting there, right? We do nothing alone.
Right.
If anything, what this time has taught us too is how we're all interconnected and need each other. And so finding or creating that sort of sister circle, finding a mentor. And the last thing is dreaming bigger. What I said, dreaming bigger, dreaming beyond. Just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean you can't be the one to do it. Even if you don't know where the funding is coming from, you don't think you have the right pedigree, the right education, the proper resources, whatever it might be, the financing, dream bigger.
And as you said that, one of my favorite Bible verses just popped in my head. You know, God will do abundantly above all that you would ever ask or think. So if it's bigger than you could ask or think, hello, it's bigger than where you are. It's bigger than what you even fathom for yourself. And so, you know, that's the limitless you talked about a few minutes ago. So,
and you know why, Nicole, he does that? Because he wants us to know it's not us doing it.
Yes.
And that when we recognize that, we know we can't do it in and within ourselves. And that means we need a God.
Hello.
A big G God that it can help us to equip us and to empower us to do it. So then we'll know that it's not about us when we get there, wherever there is.
Exactly. And as my auntie always says, don't limit God's ability to bless you. I'm like, all right, auntie. All right, auntie. So Trish, you've given us so much, girl. Thank you so much for being transparent and for going in and sharing such great insight with the ladies. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity. Take care.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Amplify Your Brilliance. Now, I want you to walk away from these sessions with value, so answer either one or all three of these questions. Number one, what was your greatest takeaway? Number two, what will you do different as a result of what you heard? See, you may have heard something you've already heard, or you may have learned something new. Either way, don't take the insight that was shared with you for granted. So commit to doing one thing different as a result of what you heard. Number three, what was confirmation for you? What did you hear that confirmed you're on the right path? See, I want you to take a moment and celebrate you. Too often in our journey, we focus on what we're not doing and we forget to celebrate what we are doing. So I want you to share with us something that showed you that you're on the right path. Now again, share. Share either answer number one, what was your greatest takeaway? Number two, what will you do different? Or number three, what was confirmation for you? And share it in our Facebook community. Go to thebrilliancetribe.com and use the hashtag #AmplifyYourBrilliance. See, each experience we encourage, support, and celebrate as a community. It allows us to expand in possibility and wisdom, in encouragement and love. Now, we've invited you into this community to deepen our journey with being the answer somebody needs and being committed to your next level. So until the next time, be extraordinary, be unapologetic, be bodaciously you, go and amplify.